Hello and welcome back to another Women's Health Action Trust Digi-Update. I'm Caitlin, our Digital Media Health Promotions Coordinator, and today I filmed a really interesting chat with Becs, who's a women's health physiotherapist. She has a lot of really valuable information on the role that physiotherapy can play both during pregnancy and postnatally. So stay tuned and let's see what she has to say. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Becs?
Yeah, sure. I'm a women's health physio. I've been a physio for over 20 years and I've got 3 young kids myself. I used to work in a lot of sports, but over the recent 10-15 years I've been working mainly in women's health.
Cool. Now, today we were thinking it would be cool if we could focus on some of the changes that happen to women when they have a baby, and you know all about that.
We sure do.
Do you want to give us a little bit of a run through of what does happen when somebody gives birth?
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously pregnancy itself is massive for women's bodies. There's a huge amount of physical changes. The core and the pelvic floor undergo a huge amount of stress and strain. And then during birth there can be further sort of trauma and damage symptoms. So the abdominal muscles are on full stretch, and we know about 80% of women in pregnancy will get a sort of separation of those, and that can sometimes continue on after birth. So your back and your core can be a bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
C-section, obviously they come through skin, they're coming through layers of fat, muscle tissue, just even get to the uterus, there's scar and sort of damage to there as well. And then with the pelvic floor, with vaginal births, we know that that core pelvic muscle has to stretch about 250%.
Wow.
And it takes quite a bit of time for that to recover. About 20-30% of women will get tears of the pelvic floor during vaginal birth. And all the nerves and other soft tissue is stretched as well. You've also got hormonal changes, so a lot of the ligaments are more lax for the birth, but that can persist afterwards as well. So the body can be a bit vulnerable afterwards for injury.
So what type of injuries are people usually experiencing?
So we see a lot of back and pelvic pain in pregnancy, but also postnatally. I mean, looking after your baby, all the poor postures and lots of care without core support. We get a lot of pelvic floor troubles either straight away after birth or perhaps a little bit later on. Women getting back to a bit much too soon, and something can come out, or just from the actual birth itself, they have difficulties with leaking, prolapse, or weakness and pains.
Now, of course, you're a physio, so what do you recommend women do if they are experiencing some of those symptoms?
So I think primarily the place to start is education in pregnancy or before pregnancy. So there's a huge amount of benefit of exercise during pregnancy. With improved birth outcomes, with just women that do regular pelvic floor in pregnancy have got a 50% less risk of incontinence in pregnancy, 35% less risk afterwards. So getting that right from the start. And obviously getting in and getting checked after birth and getting some education information that you need to help your pelvic floor and core recover.
So kind of keeping up with it while you're pregnant and both after you're pregnant.
It's a huge physical task, motherhood, and you need to be really strong. So the more you can do during pregnancy, the easier recover from it.
It's kind of the prevention as well.
So this is a lovely model of our pelvic floor. We get a lot of women coming in, they know about pelvic floor exercises, but they're not sure how to do them, they're not sure if they're doing them right. And there's a huge amount of evidence for doing pelvic floor exercises to help with incontinence, to help prevent incontinence and pelvic organ prolapse. So women often find it really interesting to see the anatomy of the pelvic floor, where it starts at the pubic. It sits like a hammock at the bottom of the pelvis. It supports up our organs. During a vaginal birth, these two sides of the muscle will have to separate to allow for the baby to come out. And we know that there can be tears, and we know that that gap can stay quite wide after birth for quite some time. So women are at much higher risk of a prolapse, which is where your organs sort of come down into the vagina, or of leaking where the muscle's compromised and can't sort of control the continence. A lot of women don't realise a lot of the muscle goes right back to that tailbone and right around your back passage. You've got your urethra, your vagina and your back passage. And the best cue we find for women trying to do pelvic floor is to imagine they're holding in a fart, so more around their back passage. And it can be really difficult and people can find it hard, so that just to know that there is help, women's health physios can help you with assessment and help you with technique, because once you're on track, it's one of the most preventative things you can do for pelvic floor is to exercise it well.
So what can women expect to happen in a physio appointment?
So women that are coming for a specific concern will obviously do an assessment of their issues. Postnatally, we do our postnatal warrant fitness checks, where we get women in, we screen what sort of pregnancy and birth they've had. We look for high risk factors for women that may develop problems later with their pelvic floor if they're not already currently expecting it. There's quite a bit of evidence around birth injuries that develop from bigger babies, bigger than 4 kg, women that had long 7 stages and sort of forceps or intervention or big tears. So we'd love to pick that up early, preventatively, or if people are already getting problems, we'll assess what the cause might be and where they're at in that journey and give them that advice.
So even if you're not aware that you're experiencing problems right now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're all clear, right?
Totally. So we know that 1 in 3 women will experience leakage or urinary leakage, and 50-60% will get a prolapse at some stage after birth. Some that's early, some that's later in life. Second pregnancies, going through menopause when there's further damage or strain on the pelvic floor. But we know the risks and we know who's at risk, and we can pick it up early. We've got a better chance of preventing that.
And one of the big things you guys do at Leto is the postnatal WHA. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's trying to grab people that don't necessarily have any symptoms. It's trying to get them early. So we'd love to see people 4, 5, 6 weeks, but we know what life could be like for babies at any time of time. Just to screen what their birth was like, how their recovery is, check their abdominal muscles, check their pelvic floor. We've got a real-time ultrasound scanner, so we can just have a look and get a vague bit of biofeedback on what your technique's like, where it might be at. If there's concerns, we can further investigate with internal exams and things like that. And then we can sort of advise you on what's safe to get back to now, what your long-term goals are, give you some exercises to rehab your core and pelvic floor first, and get you back into where you want to be down the track.
Yeah, no, I understand that's something that happens routinely in other countries, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. So in France for many years, physio has been a routine part of everyone's follow-up after birth, and they've had treatment as needed through the public system. The NHS has now decided they're going to go along that line as well, which is awesome. And at the moment, the Australian Physio Group are lobbying for physio being part of pregnancy care as well, routinely. In New Zealand, big birth trauma will be seen, you'll get a referral to the public system, would be a wait. But we're trying to grab the preventative stuff and trying to get in early for the little stuff that may not make that cut.
Even if it is something little, it can hugely impact your
life.
Absolutely,
and we know that a lot of people avoid exercise if they're having concerns or pain or weakening, and then you've got the whole problems with less exercise and how much you get from that. There are a lot of fears around what to do, what not to do. And just sort of getting education.
Totally, So why do you think it's not as big of a thing in New Zealand? Are there like barriers to going? Or?
I think obviously it's a smaller country. We generally have a very small women's health section to our physio culture, I think, in a lot of countries. I think there's a lot of stigma around talking, you know, you talk to your mate about your sore back at coffee, you don't talk about your problems with your vagina. And I just think, you know, we often focus on the baby, which is awesome, but it hasn't been our culture to look after the mums before the brothers. We could have prioritised their health and sort of well-being. So I think hopefully we'll get there. I mean, we follow Australia quite closely with what we're doing and effective, so I'm hoping that we can do something.
Prompt some change here too. And of course, without being publicly funded, that's on the person to pay for themselves.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, we'd love to see everyone know that's financially not possible, unfortunately. But hopefully one day when we can see the results, and we know that physio is such a strong evidence base for treating incontinence and preventing incontinence, that focus will go on to that rather than
Do you think it's also kind of an education thing? Because for me, I know a lot of people just accept after birth that leaking is normal.
Totally. So we have the mums and the grandmas that are coming in with the mums saying they didn't even know it was a thing, they didn't even know you could prevent it or treat it. We have the health professionals that don't realise it's what we do, and they tell us it's amazing and they wish they'd known about it for their patients. You get the media out there with the leak-proof underwear, and so everyone's thinking, well then everyone has it, it's just weird.
Yes, it's almost a bit of a joke, like you can't jump on a trampoline after you've had a baby.
And for some people that's a lifesaver for the short term, but there's nothing backing it up with you can actually do something to stop yourself leaking, and I think that's where that's all fallen down.
Sure.
It's awesome that there's a lot of online content out there now, and people are talking about postnatal recovery as an actual thing rather than just get back to normal life. Our biggest thing has always been a lot of that information and exercise is great. However, each birth is different, each pregnancy is different, everyone's recovery is quite different, and depending on your exercise goals and your level of fitness and your technique of what you're doing, there'll be different things just for you. And a lot of people come in, they've already done an online program, they haven't had any success with their tummy or their pelvic floor, and they've been doing it wrong the whole time. They're really frustrated. So our big thing is, if you get a check, you know you're doing the exercises right, you know what you need, then you've got the ability to take that out to do the exercise that you want, and everyone's taking the result after that. But get a check first and just check it's right for you.
Yeah, totally. That totally makes sense. Well, that was awesome and super informative. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us about this. I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people who visit our website.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Becs, for taking time out of your day to educate us on this issue. I'm going to link below Becs' clinic. It's called Leto. They have some more information on their website about physiotherapy and the postnatal WHA. I'm also going to pop below an article that Women's Health Action partnered with the Spinoff to write. It's about body image after birth. There's also a really good section there on how physiotherapy can help. Hope you guys enjoyed this Digi-Update. Remember, you can find out more about us at www.womens-health.com. and I will see you in the next Digi-Update.